From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Brayden Neville.
On today's episode, former Ticats linebacker and 2008 Grey Cup champion JuJuan Armour joins the show to talk about returning to Hamilton next week. And as always, we have Brian Simmons joining me to break down potential Grey Cup matchups and more. It's Friday, November 10th, 2023, and you're listening to Ticats Today, the lead up to the 110th Grey Cup in Hamilton. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're all ready for the weekend and some CFL action tomorrow as we finally will find out who will be battling it out in this year's Grey Cup at Tim Hortons Field next Sunday. It's time I bring on my first guest, Mr. Brian Simmons. Brian, a weird week for us. We don't have the Ticats to talk about, but we still have our East and West finals. Let's start with Toronto and Montreal. Brian, do you think Montreal has a chance in this one?
Hey, like the movie from Dumb and Dumber, and they say, so there is a chance. I mean, yes, they have a chance. That's the thing I love about football. Every playoff game is Game 7, so anything can happen. I do believe Montreal will probably have to play the best game they've played all year. Yeah. And honestly, they should probably hope that, maybe Toronto's a little bit off of their game, with the time off. But I definitely think they have a chance. I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way they can win this game.
In your experience, do you see a week off as, a benefit, or is that in a way, can that hurt you almost being away from the game that long and then stepping right into that playoff environment?
In all honesty, Brayden, I think it depends on the personality of your team. I think there are some teams that could take multiple time off and everyone will be fine. And then there's other teams where, like, hey, we want to keep banging. Like I was with Edmonton in 2015 when they won the Grey Cup. And we had I think there's a stretch we had maybe like 2 weeks off or something, but we still were banging, like practicing, as if we had a game. And I think it really just helped us stay in rhythm and stuff. But at the same time, if you got guys that need some time off, it could also be beneficial that way as well.
Yeah. In your predictions, who do you think takes this one, Montreal or Toronto?
From what I've seen, I think Toronto will take it. I do. Yeah. And because it's funny for me to say this, but they actually do have, fans showing up to their games and stuff now. So I think,
their attendance is up like 30% or something I saw.
Yeah, because I've seen years where they've been successful and it's still, hollow in the stadium. So I think that'll play a role. But at the same time, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Yes, if I was to bet on this game, I would pick Toronto.
Yeah, we saw what that Montreal defense can do, unfortunately, against the Ticats, and if they can play the same way against Toronto, I think we have ourselves a game. Let's switch over to the other game, BC Winnipeg. I'm super excited about this game because these have been two powerhouses all season long. We know what Winnipeg can do season after season. They're there. BC and that explosive offense, but what do you like about this game, Brian?
I think of the two games, this is the one that I think everyone can predict that might be a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
With that said, I think, honestly, I don't expect a blowout. I think it'll be a close game. It could be a shootout. It could be low scoring. I will say I'll have to get a nod to Winnipeg, and the main reason why I picked that is because their running game is so strong, and you saw how Calgary kind of got after BC not too long ago with their run game. So I'm pretty sure they're going to try to use that same formula. So with that said, that's my pick for that game. But if BC ended up winning that game, I would not be stunned. Like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, because they're a very talented team as well.
Yeah, and I think both games are kind of like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal did beat Toronto. I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure Toronto's the favorite for sure, but I think it's the same on both sides. You could see either of the two teams winning in the East and the West. So I'm excited to watch those games. Like I said, I wish the Ticats were in that East one, but it's still going to be some fun football. I've been talking this week to some alumni, Brian, about their favorite Grey Cup memories, and you having one in 2015 after coming to Edmonton via trade from Hamilton. Probably a weird season for you, but then to go on and win that Grey Cup. But what was that run like for you with the Edmonton Eskimos at the time?
Well, we went on a 10-game winning streak, and it was very impressive, man. I will admit, being traded, first time ever happened to me, it could hit a player a little bit hard because you don't know what to expect. But I enjoyed it because I got to go into a new organization and see how someone else does things. With that said, my greatest memory honestly, it was just a parade, man. And
Yeah.
when we was at the parade, and I know I was an Eskimo at the time, but the thought went to my mind because I just lost 2 Grey Cups for Hamilton. And I was
Hmm.
just like, man, it would be nice to bring one of these to the city of Hamilton because when you just see how the fans respond, and I mean, not that I'm one for attention, but you kind of treat it like a rock star when he had that Grey Cup with you. So
Yeah.
it's a very fun experience and a great atmosphere. And to whatever city that wins, I mean, it's something that they'll cherish for a long time.
What was that feeling like when you saw the clock ticking down and knew you were about to be a Grey Cup champion?
It was great. I mean, at the same time, we all can say we all play this game to win.
Hmm.
That's why we play the game. Unfortunately, there's guys who may have had a 15-year career that never even played in a Grey Cup, So I
Yeah.
felt fortunate enough to just have the opportunity to be in 3 of them, and I did get a ring, in my last one I was in. So it's a great feeling when you see that clock tick down. So you're going to be a part of history. Your name is going to be on that trophy, and it just means a lot. I am a low key historian, so things like that matter to me.
Do you ever pull the ring out, Brian? Are you wearing it every now and then, or is that in a nice, safe place?
Honestly, it's in a nice, safe place. This weekend, or the next week with all the Grey Cup festivities going on, it might be the first time I pulled it out all year.
Yeah, you got it. You
With-
got to flex it a bit. You got to
yeah.
flex it a bit. The Grey Cup Festival in Hamilton, it's important people know that whether or not the Ticats won't be in this game, but it's still going to be an exciting week. There's so much going on
Oh yeah.
around this Grey Cup Festival. But what makes the Grey Cup Festival and the week surrounding the Grey Cup so exciting and so much fun to be a part of?
Well, it's so many events that's going on, and a couple of years ago, I got to do an internship with the CFL, and I just learned so much about what all takes place during the Grey Cup festivities. I mean, they're literally planning the Grey Cup like January,
Yeah.
February. They put that much time into it, and I think it's great for the city. It can help a lot of businesses. Whenever events like this come to a city, everyone wins.
Hmm.
And also it could be someone who's really don't know anything about football. They go to a Grey Cup, festivity. Oh, this is fun. Check out the game. So
Yeah.
you bringing new fans in, and for the fans that love the game, it's a great time for you to meet some of your favorite players. You're going to see Hall of Famers walking around in Hamilton this week.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it'd be a great time for everyone to just really get out and enjoy football.
And what's it like? You have fans from all over the country, from Edmonton to Hamilton to wherever it may be. But what's it like when all those people get together and you have all these different fan bases and all these different people from across the country that love the CFL in one place?
It's a beautiful thing, man, because obviously everyone's going to be repping their team and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But at the end of the day, everyone loves football, and that's what most of the conversation is going to be about. I mean, you're going to hear uh, guys from the past talking about, things they went through, or I always hear about the '99 Grey Cup, from some of the Hamilton fans. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just great to kind of, just share stories. And, I mean, I remember one time during the Grey Cup, I want to say I met someone that came all the way from Ireland just to
Wow.
watch the game.
Wow.
So it really is a world event, and it's exciting, man. Like I'm happy, and for anyone that's never experienced, if you can't get to the game, at least try to get out to some of the festivities because in some ways, I mean, they're warmer and they might be just as fun as the game in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, surrounding this event, there's so much stuff. We have all these different performers, the festival, the Legends Luncheon, the team parties. There's so much happening at this. I want to get another memory from you, Brian. Maybe a Cat playoff memory. I know you weren't able to win the Grey Cup with the Ticats, but you were in a lot of exciting playoff games. If you can think of one, which one stands out to you?
I'll probably say a one game I really enjoyed playing. I know we were at Guelph this season, so it's probably the 2013
Yeah,
season.
yeah, that weird year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I had a high ankle sprain in the semi final, so then we had to go play Toronto at the Eastern final, and I wasn't able to play in that game because of my ankle.
Hmm.
But I remember we were down at halftime, and I never forget. Ken Austin comes in the locker room, and he's like, "That's the best they got. Like that's all they got." And it was just I never in my career I've never been down at half and had just a atmosphere of like, oh yeah, we about to win this game.
Yeah.
And we came out and we dominated in the second half, and that's the year we ended up playing Saskatchewan. I was able to play in the Grey Cup, but that was one of my the most fond memories because the thing about football is you can get out of whack and let momentum take advantage of you, and you can
Hmm.
just get in a lull and just
Yeah.
be like, oh man. But that particular day, it's like we were just wanted it and we were hungry. And honestly, in these games, the teams that really want it the most, that's usually who gets it done. The teams who want it the most and who makes the least amount of mistakes.
Yeah. What can you say about how those Ticats fans rallied around the teams during those runs?
Oh, it was great, man. I always say, I know Saskatchewan, they gets, notarized as like that's the team with the
Yeah,
best fan base, but I always tell people that, we have the best fans in the East, hands down.
for
And
sure.
they're always supportive. They always show up, even on road games. I, every Eastern game, that's away for the Ticats, for the most part, it can feel like a home game sometimes.
Lots of performers at this year's Grey Cup Festival, Brian.
Mhm.
I mean, the list goes on and on. Shaggy, Carrie Underwood, Green Day. Who are you most excited for?
Man, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind hearing Shaggy. I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind hearing Green Day, and I mean, like Carrie Underwood. I mean, you got a list of menu of stars here.
yeah,
I think the Great Cup, you can tell they're doing their thing, with promotion and trying to get it out there. So you can't go wrong with either. I think they got a little. It's like something for everyone.
yeah.
They really have something for everyone.
The Shaggy will be performing at the awards in Niagara
Yeah.
Falls. What's the buzz like around award night and having talked to guys who have won awards or being around the awards? What is that buzz like and that night and as a whole in terms of the importance of it?
Well, it is important because I mean, guys want to be, noticed for their
Hmm.
achievements, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it could also motivate some guys that felt like they should have won.
Yeah.
So I find that when it comes to awards, I mean, obviously this is a team game. It
Hmm.
is, but it's nice when you like an offensive lineman and you're blocking for the
Yeah.
MOP,
Yeah.
or when you're on defense and you're playing beside, the best defensive player. It just, especially if you're in that Grey Cup, it just, hey, we got to show people why, I was chosen for this award. So, and it's just a lot of, kind of like bragging rights and stuff.
Yeah.
Guys talk about things like that. There's guys who haven't won awards that players feel like might be better than someone who did win an award. So it's a lot of like, stuff to just talk about.
What do you think about the two Ticats All-Stars who were named, Tim White and Casey Sales? What do you think about those guys being named to the CFL All-Stars and what they were able to do this season? We'll start with Tim White.
Oh, yeah, very, very deserving, both of them. With Tim White, like I said a few weeks ago, it always lets me know something when a player is making multiple All Stars. Because once you make one, it's like, okay, he got his first one. Now people are keying on you. They're watching you. They're giving you your best. And I mean, there's times this year where our offense kind of struggled, but he
Yeah.
still produced. So with that said, I think he's well deserving of it. And with Casey Sells, it says something when you come to a new organization and you make that kind of impact your first season. Not only does it make the scouting staff and the coaches feel like they did their part, but as a player, it's like, hey, this is why these guys came out and got me, and I'm here to produce and I'm here to deliver. So I enjoy watching him play. Very active guy. He's the kind of guy, if I was lining up against him, he's in my crosshairs, 'cause very active guy. You cannot
Yeah.
go to sleep on him. So I've enjoyed watching him play, and honestly, I think he really sets the tone on that defensive line. He really does.
Brian, final question here. Grey Cup Festival in Hamilton next week. What makes Hamilton the perfect place to be for this year's Grey Cup?
I think there's been a lot of. I think in the past, I want to say I feel like lodging or hotel was some of the reasons that
Mhm.
Hamilton wasn't able, to get that cup
Mhm.
as easy as others. And with that said, I think a lot of amenities have been built over the past few years, so lots of more things to do. Location wise, it's wonderful. I mean, you're near Niagara, you're
Yeah.
near Toronto, you're kind of near every place you need to be. And I honestly, in my opinion, Hamilton facility is one of the best in the league. There's not.
Yes.
I would say maybe Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and Ottawa are the only other teams that you could say rival Hamilton when it comes to
Mhm.
facilities. So with that said, you watch it at a great venue, and it was just here not too long ago. So I feel like it's going to be even better this year, even with Hamilton not being in the game.
Yes, for sure. Well, Brian, I appreciate you being on the show. I know we're going to meet up next week and you're going to be around a ton of events around the city. So once again, Brian Simmons, thanks for joining me today, man.
No problem, Brandon. Take care, man.
That was Brian Simmons. My next guest is a former Ticats linebacker and 2008 Grey Cup champion with the Calgary Stampeders. Thanks for joining me today, JuJuan Armour.
Hey, Brady, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
What's life been like for you? What have you been up to?
Things have been good, man. Things have been good. I work myself out of the class. I'm a teacher by trade outside the NFL, and I started my own consulting. And so I contract school districts, communities, city government to address violence, primarily gun violence. In school district, it'd be behavior issues, referrals, and things of that nature. So my responsibility is to go into school districts and improve the culture of the school.
What's that like? I mean, it can't be an easy job, and especially to be moving around. But was that something you were always passionate about?
Well, I was always passionate about impacting kids, right? I was drafted in '99 by the Oakland Raiders. I also started teaching in '99. So every year of my playing career, my 10-year playing career, I taught special ed, from NFL to Canada, regardless of what the demographic was. I taught in the off season, and it kind of prepared me for after season, or after my career, to be in the classroom. My passion is impacting the lives of young people.
Well, honestly, it's good for you for doing something like that. And it's such a big, impactful thing to be doing that, and such an important issue. You're going to be in the Hammer next week, returning to Hamilton. Are you excited to be back home?
I am. I'm extremely excited. I mean, just having a Grey Cup there is amazing. Um, and it's also great for the fans. I know Hamilton is one of the places I've been to outside of I played in BC, Hamilton, and Calgary. The fans in Hamilton, you can't compare it to anything, right? Because one of the things is that they understand the game of football. They know football. It seems like hockey. We all know hockey is the Canadian sport,
Yeah,
but in Hamilton, it feels like football is the sport. And
for
so,
sure.
the fans are very in tune. They know what they're talking about. They know when to cheer. They know when to keep it down. And they're just involved throughout the game. So no matter what the record was during my time there, they were in it till it was zeros on the clock. And you love to see that. You love to play for that crowd.
Why do you think Hamilton's such a good place? I mean, I think you kind of touched on it there, but such a great place to hold this Grey Cup festival here.
I think that's exactly it's the fans, it's the people, the community of Hamilton, and they're football fans, right? And so they get an opportunity to really, engulf themselves in the culture with hosting the Grey Cup, and I think it's a tremendous honor for them to have that. The new stadium is amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I had opportunity to play in that stadium, but it's going to be a sight to see. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
What was it like playing in the old stadium in Ivor Wynn? What was that like for you, that experience?
It was awesome. It was awesome. We don't know what we don't know. So I wasn't really big on like stadiums, and I was locked in for the games. And when the fans came out, it was time to put on the show. That's all I really cared about. I didn't really care about the stadium, but seeing on the other side of being a fan and being able to be in the stands and go see the hallways and the various VIP sections
Yeah.
the Ticats have now.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I enjoyed that experience being on that side of it. But as a player, the stadium didn't matter to me. I just wanted, the game to get started. I want to be on the field and get to the action. So it was on this side of it. That stadium is beautiful.
JuJuan, you've been a part of these Grey Cup weeks and these weeks leading up to a Grey Cup and in these games, but what is that whole experience like leading up to the Grey Cup, knowing you're going to be in the big game and you have that few days of celebration around the city, that whatever city it is you're in for that Grey Cup, but what's that experience like as a player?
I think that as a player, it's you got to be careful as a player, right? You want to enjoy the festivities, you want to celebrate being in a Grey Cup, but there's still a game to play, right? You still have one more game to play. You're the only two teams playing in the CFL, so you also have a responsibility to show up. You have a responsibility to hold up your end as a player, as a teammate, and so the festivities are great, the parties are great. Having an opportunity to get out, meet the fans, be personal with the fans is great, but at the end of the day, it's about winning championships, and you really have to appreciate it. I played in college where we went 9-2 at Miami. We always had amazing seasons, right? Never played in a bowl game, never had opportunity to play for a championship. I remember one year we beat North Carolina. We beat the brakes off of North Carolina, and they went to the Vegas Bowl at 6-5, and we didn't go anywhere at 9-2.
Really?
And so, that discrepancy in the success, or what is viewed as success, because you can bring more fans to a game, it kind of tarnished the game of football for me early on. But having an opportunity to play in a Grey Cup, a championship, my first and only championship, and having won that, it's a memory like I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Your first year in the CFL, you were on a very good BC team that did make it to the Grey Cup, ended up falling just short. But what was it like that first year and adjusting to the CFL and playing on such a successful team as a first-year player in the league?
As a first-year player, I was very fortunate to have guys around me that, supported me. Mark Washington, I had a chance to see him when we came up there for the game. You guys were playing BC.
Yeah.
And so to have a conversation and thank him, because he was the guy that kind of told me the ins and out about Canadian football, how the end zone is deeper, the field is wide. This is made for speed.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to really learn prior to games and prior to being that guy, the differences between NFL and Canadian football. In Hamilton, it was Hitchcock. Hitchcock was the guy that's kind of told me the ins and out. I pride myself on being able to build relationships with people. And so having people in my corner that can support me, that kind of tell me crafty veteran tools to be successful, it made all the difference in the world in my success in Canada.
I want to fast forward in your career a bit to when you eventually did make your way to Hamilton. What was it like that first year? Because as soon as you came to Hamilton, your numbers went skyrocket, and you were huge, one of the best defensive players on the team and in the CFL at the time. But what was it about coming to Hamilton that made you produce more?
Yeah, thank you for that. The thing about coming to Hamilton, I had an opportunity to play more. My first 2 years at BC, that linebacking core, Otis Floyd, Carl Kidd, Barron Simpson, all all-stars.
Yeah.
Several years all-stars. And all were great players, but I think that competition between us helped me to elevate their game as well, because they knew they couldn't take a day off.
Yeah.
Because that might have been the last time they seen the field. And I would tell them that, that was our competitive spirit. Love those guys to death. But at the end of the day, I'm here to play. And so coming to Hamilton, it was my opportunity to shine. I came into that situation, earned a starting job, and I was the starter, the guy for Hamilton. And so I feel like I had a responsibility not only to hold up my end on defense, but also to support the community, which wanted success, right? And so as players, we play for ourselves, our families, but we also play for the community that supports us. And that's one of the biggest messages I try to send to the guys that are there now, is that appreciate this time. Regardless of the league, you're still playing football, right? And so it's where you are, it doesn't matter, because there are a lot of people that their dream of playing is over. They'll never put on pads again. And so to enjoy every experience. And that's what, for me, that's what it was. And I had an opportunity to show that with my play. My play is a representation of how much I love the game and how much I appreciate every opportunity to be on the field.
People have known that Hamilton fans love that style of football, that smash mouth, tough, gritty defense. Do you feel that was kind of perfect for you and going to Hamilton, and that was kind of what you felt was the perfect system for you to fit into?
Absolutely. And I love the way you put that. It matches the community of Hamilton, right? Blue collar, hard nosed. And that is exactly the type of football that I like to play. And so my character, my background, my principles, the things that, make me, it fits the culture of Hamilton. Like, I'm a hard nose, I'm a grinder. And so I also want to be rewarded for that, right? So when we work hard, we can't wait to get that paycheck because we've earned it, right? And I think that's what the people, and when we play, it's people that, I met, Steve and Barb, two of the family members I met there when I was in Hamilton, came to every practice. We had fans that came to practice every day. Steve and Barb brought cookies every practice. And it was just amazing to see, because in that effort, that appreciation they showed for us, we were able to return that favor in success. And so, those things you never forget.
And then that's still the way it is now today. You go to these practices, no matter if they're winning or if they're losing, you're going to see fans everywhere watching, and people around the city. All you see is black and gold, no matter where you go. What's your favorite memory, or a memory that sticks out to you about playing in Hamilton?
So my favorite memory at Hamilton, I had a fumble recovery, like a 65-yard touchdown fumble recovery. It was my first and only touchdown in the CFL. And so I definitely remember that game. I believe we were playing Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We were beating the brakes off of them. And it was a game where the defense really showed out. Myself, Zeke had a great game, my middle linebacker. Joaquin Bradley, our outside corner. We just played an awesome defensive game. And to cap it off with that touchdown was just, it meant everything to me. That was my favorite memory in Hamilton.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive play, and to run it back that far, I think I would probably have to stop and get some air halfway through if it was me personally. But thus now I want to talk about that 2008 team and winning a Grey Cup and getting to experience that. What was that game like in the atmosphere around that 2008 Cup?
Man, it was amazing. Like, it was amazing. Championship atmosphere is like no other. And again, it was my first championship game. Despite having successful seasons in college, it was my first championship game. And so with that, man, it's emotional. Like, it really is. Like, you can't compare it to anything. I would compare that game to the birth of my children. Like, it was that impactful on my life. I had a great game. I think I sacked Calvillo once or twice. I should have had a pick. Like, it was just a all-around amazing experience. My mother, my family members were able to attend. And what the best part about it, this was the best part about it. At the end of the game, when you walking back into the locker room and you see all the lockers have plastic on them, everything's covered up.
Yeah.
That experience, because now we're anticipating, okay, here come the champagne, here come the Grey Cup, you know what I mean? And it was just like, it made everything come to fruition when you get back to that locker room. You're able to celebrate with the people that came along with you on this journey. And so that experience and it's all, it was amazing. And the way we won in a dominating fashion that we won in, we deserve to be the CFL champions.
I mean, you just gave me chills thinking about you winning a championship. So I can only imagine. We will find out tomorrow who's going to be in the Grey Cup, and it's going to be exciting. There's 4 really good teams still left, and although Hamilton's not going to be in the Grey Cup this year at Tim Hortons Field, it's still going to be an exciting game. What are you looking forward to most?
I'm just honestly looking back to getting back around the fans. That's the best part for me. Because you never know, right? You never know whose life you've impacted. And that's what I love hearing, because it encourages me to continue on, like, doing the work, even though it's not in football, to be able to impact lives in this field, right? To be able to impact the lives of children, to be able for them to see them 10 years, 15 years from later. And they, Coach Armour, you know what? I really appreciate you. I remember this, and this, and it really served me. Like, it really helped me be better. And so when you are able to be around fans and they tell you that, we love watching you play. We love watching your energy. We love watching your positive attitude. Those are the things that encourages that same behavior to continue. I tell my kids that I work with now in schools is that when you are positive and you are trying to do the right thing, the best thing you can do is demonstrate that. Show other people how that positivity has impacted your life. And it's contagious. It's just as contagious as the bull. And so being able to be around fans and hear those stories or those conversations, because that's one thing about Hamilton fans, they remember in detail. And so every story, it's very impactful. It's very impactful. People will remember as much as they did when I got there. I was very taken back. They do not. They do not. They do not. And I appreciate it.
Well, JuJuan, it's going to be exciting to have you back in the Hammer. There's going to be so much going on next week, and so many alumni and ex-Tiger Cats and CFL legends from around the league will all be in Hamilton. So I want to thank you for coming on the show today, man. It was great to chat with you.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to getting back.
Big thanks to JuJuan Armour and Brian Simmons for being on today's show. Before we go, Ticats fans, be sure to join us for the Caretakers Game Day warm-up hosted by Tiger Town Council, presented by Cooper Equipment Rentals at the Bernie Morelli Recreation Center for fun-packed hours before the 110th Grey Cup game. Warm up before the big game and cheer on the best teams in the league in this pre-game celebration, including a live performance by Dwayne Gretzky. So for more information and to get tickets, go to greycupfestival.ca/events. That's all the time for me today. Thank you for listening to this special episode of Ticats Today, the lead up to the 110th Grey Cup in Hamilton.